Somehow, this became our life. Camping on a remote beach in Baja, California in the late winter. Enjoying the waves, the water, the sun, and the warm weather. We didn't jump cold turkey into this life on the road. It began as a slow simmer. We wanted to regain our weekends. We wanted to get away from the noise of the city. We wanted the stillness of the outdoors. But eventually, this became our home away from home. This is our 1994 Toyota Land Cruiser Troop Carrier. We imported it from Australia. It's affectionately known to the world as a Troopy. Once it landed into the United States, we immediately cut the roof off. We installed the pop top, built out the interior, and made it into the camper you see today.
Did you have fun? You didn't find any sneakies, right? No sneakies? I hope not.
This is the Queen, Kaya. She thinks she runs the whole operation. Everything in the world revolves around her. She's a Shiba Inu with the personality of a sassy Asian grandmother. She doesn't like being a dog, and she judges other dogs on their inherent dogness. This is Stella. She's the newest member of our family. She's 100% dog. She loves to dig, she loves bones, she loves to get dirty. She loves being in the water, and she loves to eat. That's Karissa, my partner. She's a jack of all trades. She does everything. She keeps this whole boat afloat. She makes sure the Troopy is in good shape before, during, and after a trip. She's also the primary navigator and is the Googler-in-chief of food before we roll into any new town. And well, that's me. I'm Linhbergh.
Hi.
My job is simple. It's to make sure that our traveling circus is fed and happy. I'm the cook. Food and cooking has become a huge part of our lives, especially when it comes to traveling. We enjoy eating well and cooking food that is typically harder to come by in remote places. I'm Linhbergh, and this is my partner, Karissa. We love food and we love to cook. And for the past few years, we've taken that passion to the road. We've traveled all over and cooked meals in the most spectacular of landscapes. So come with us as we try to satiate our hunger by learning about new dishes to be cooked in the world's best kitchen, the outdoors. In April of 1975, the Civil War in Vietnam came to an end. Nearly 2 million Vietnamese fled from the instability caused by the war. This created a massive refugee crisis all around the world. Around 120,000 of those refugees made it to the United States. A good number of those chose to settle here, Little Saigon, Orange County, California. This is Bosa Avenue. This strip of road blossomed to become the main cultural center for the Vietnamese American community. Here was where the first Vietnamese language newspapers were published in 1975. Here was where the first Vietnamese businesses started popping up. Here was the only place in the country in the mid-1980s where you'll be able to buy Vietnamese grocery items and unique produce. Here is where a shell of people eventually found their way around a new country. They went to school, they found jobs, they opened up restaurants and shared their unique cuisine to the world. They found loved ones, they got married, they had kids, they carved a life for themselves. And for those select few refugees, this little strip of road became home.
Hôm nay là làm gì mẹ?
Hôm nay mẹ nấu phở bò cho tụi con ăn đấy. Giờ mẹ nấu lên cho nó bắt đầu nó sôi lên á, thì mình mới đổ đó đi, rồi mình rửa sạch lại cái xương. Xong mình lấy nước sạch để mình nấu, mình mới bỏ xương vô lại, rồi bắt đầu mình mới hầm.
This is Nguyen, My mom. She fled Vietnam with a boat hand-built by my dad. The two of them came to this country more than 40 years ago with my two older brothers who were just mere babies at the time. One was wrapped around her waist and the other wrapped around her arms. Two of her children were born in Vietnam and two were born in the States. She's dedicated her whole life to her husband and her 4 sons. She has cooked every meal, every single day. She cooked for our school parties, family get-togethers, and became known as the person in our family that cooks well. Her brothers and sisters routinely call her for cooking tips and recipes. And without question, she's always obliged. Food is her love language. She has never officially taught me how to cook, but I learned from her. I incessantly watched her cook growing up. I watched her chop, stir, and mix everything at counter eye height and lock those moments into my memory. She has never directly said I love you to any of us. Instead, she tells us through her food.
Này bố vẽ phải không?
Ông vẽ đó, đi vượt biên cái tàu nhỏ như vậy đó. Thấy được bờ thì là ông bảo ô thấy bờ rồi mừng quá. Cái đi vào, vừa ấy vào rồi một khúc cái thằng Thái Lan mà ăn cướp á,
Cướp Thái Lan.
nó sấn tới ghe mình đây, cái ghe nó sát đây, nó quăng cái dây thừng qua ghe mình, nó cầm cái búa, nó bảo cầm cái đó cột vào xe cái mày không thì tao giết mày. Nó nhăm cái búa về này, bố không cho ai chui ra. Ông bảo ở trong khe hết không được ai lòi đầu ra. Ông lết qua cái dây thừng nó rổ rại rơi xuống nữa. Thế là ông lại tuôn ra khơi, ông không dám vô nữa. Cái đi suốt một ngày ở ngoài khơi luôn, ngoài biển á, không dám vô, nó vô là tại ban ngày mà. Cái xong đợi đến chiều tối bắt đầu là ông thấy sầm tối, ông thấy cái bờ biển rồi, ông thấy cái bãi rồi, ông mừng quá, ông tấp vô. Mà hên là lúc bây giờ nó hơi sẩm rồi. Cái ghe ủi vô một cái là nằm xuống cái ghe đó luôn, là nhào xuống vậy. Cái nhào xuống cái trúng cái đồn của quân đội.
Mẹ làm cái phở recipe này mấy năm rồi?
Mấy chục năm rồi.
Mấy năm rồi.
Mấy chục năm rồi.
Mẹ làm phở Việt Nam khác phải không?
Ở Việt Nam thì cũng vậy đó.
Vâng, cũng vậy luôn hả?
Ở
Okay.
Việt Nam là cũng phải nướng hành này, hành hương này thì nó thơm. Rồi lại chắc cũng nó thơm được rồi đó ha. Chứ nhiều quá sợ nó cháy. Nó hơi cháy thì nó thơm một tí, cái nước nó thơm.
Bỏ cái củi lên.
Ờ.
Xong đây đó.
Rồi bây giờ cái này rang cái này này, rang cái này gọi là đồ gia vị. Rang cái này đồ gia vị phở để bỏ cho nó thơm.
Rang cho nó đen hay
không đen,
mùi thơm thôi?
Chỉ có mùi thơm thôi,
okay.
Không có đen. Để cho nó có mùi thơm, cái xong rồi lát nữa mình bỏ vào trong cái hộp kia kìa. Rồi lát nữa mình nấu nước sạch, nấu xong mình mới treo nó vào cái nồi này. Thì đầu tiên mình qua cái tiểu bang Kansas. Ở đó có khoảng chưa đầy 3 tháng thì mu qua Cali. Đó, mà cách mu thì đi bằng xe bus Greyhound á. 3 ngày 2 đêm mới tới. Xong rồi mình mới gọi taxi. Taxi nó chở mình đến số nhà, ông cho số nhà đến nơi cốc. Không có ai hết. Chờ cả nửa tiếng cũng không thấy ai mở cửa hết. Cái xong nản quá, cái xong cái ông taxi ông không dám bỏ gia đình mình. Ông bảo là chứ gia đình mày mới tới, tiếng thì không biết, tiếng Anh không biết nhiều, bố biết nhưng mà không biết nhiều lắm. Cái mà thấy có 2 thằng này nhỏ nữa. Ông bảo tao không thể bỏ gia đình mày được, bây giờ bạn mày phải có mặt tao mới bỏ. Cái ông taxi đó ông cũng có lương tâm lắm. Cái ông bảo là thôi bây giờ tao chở gia đình nhà mày đi qua IRCC trước. Thì IRCC lúc bây giờ là ngày thứ 7, người ta không làm việc, đóng cửa. Cái xong ông mới lại bảo thôi không được, tao không bỏ gia đình mày đâu, bây giờ tao chở mày qua cái hội IRC. Có hồi đó chỉ còn một cái ông Mỹ, ông đang còn trực, ông sắp sửa về, ông còn ngồi ở cái bàn ngày làm việc á. Cái thằng taxi nó vào, nó bảo cái gia đình này nó mới qua Mỹ mà nó ở tiểu bang khác, xong nó lại sang đây mà bây giờ nó chưa gặp người thân nó, tao không bỏ nó được, bây giờ mày có giúp được gia đình nó không? Cái ông Mỹ mà đang trực đó đó, ông bảo được, mày để nó đây đi, mày để gia đình nó đây, tao lo cho. Cái ông Mỹ ông bảo mày có xu không, mày có xu mày lo cho gia đình nó không thì tao mới bỏ gia đình nó lại được. Cái ông Mỹ cái ông bảo xua, tao lo cho. Cái là cái ông này đi về, cái trả tiền ông cũng không lấy luôn. Ông bảo thôi tao cho gia đình mày hết rồi, tao không lấy, mày sẽ được ông này giúp đỡ gia đình mày, tao yên tâm tao đi về. Cái cảm ơn quá trời luôn. Ông bảo mày không có cần cảm ơn tao, mày tạ ơn Chúa đi, Chúa đưa gia đình nhà mày đến nơi bằng an, mà tao làm một cái công cụ để đưa gia đình mày đến trôi bằng an thôi. Cái xong là ông đưa cho cái ông Mỹ dắt gia đình đi vô cái hotel ở đường Alameda, mẹ còn nhớ đường Alameda đó. Cái ông trả tiền khách sạn cho mình luôn. Cái ông bảo là tao cho mày tiền đồ ăn luôn. Bảo không, bố bảo không, tao còn tiền đồ ăn, tao không lấy nữa đâu. Tụi bay giúp tao nhiều quá rồi, tao không dám lấy nữa đâu. Cái xong là ông mày cứ xui mày có tiền, con mày phải được no, không được để nó đói. Ông chỉ hai thằng nhỏ như vậy đó. Mày không được để con mày nó đói, tao không có muốn con mày nó đói. Cái xong bảo tao có tiền để tao mua đồ ăn trong gia đình có mấy ngày được. Mày trả tiền cho tao về là quá nhiều rồi. Sáng thứ hai, ông hẹn đúng 10 giờ ông tới. 10 giờ ông có mặt. Ông bảo bây giờ gia đình mày đi về, đi theo tao. Đi theo tao, tao đưa mày ra qua cái hội USCC của mày. Nếu mà cái hội này nó không chấp nhận lo cho mày, tao đứng ra lo cho mày. Gia đình mày rất là tốt, người Mỹ rất là tốt luôn, nhớ ơn luôn, không bao giờ quên. Cái sáng nó qua, nó đưa qua USCC. USCC nó bảo chứ thì nó là người của tao, tao phải nhận thôi. Có điều là người ta bảo tại sao mày dám như vậy, mày gan như vậy, mày sang Mỹ mày đã ở cái tiểu bang kia mày không ở, mày đi qua đây mày ở, rồi ở đây mày không, bạn mày nó hứa lúc mày mà đến không có nói gì, nếu mà không có cái ông tài xế là ông đưa mày hẳn hoi thì gia đình mà ở đâu. Cái bà còn la cho nữa. Cái xong bố mới trả lời là tao đâu có ngán đâu, từ Việt Nam đi vượt biên qua tao còn đi được mà, tại sao từ Mỹ với Mỹ có gì đâu mà tao sợ. Tao không có sợ mấy cái vấn đề đó. Từ Việt Nam qua rất là nan giải mà tao còn đi được. Tao đưa gia đình của tao đi bằng an. Bây giờ ở Mỹ này bây giờ không ai lo, từ từ tao cũng sống được.
I've heard these stories before. She's told it hundreds, if not thousands of times over the decades. But I've never heard it in this much detail. I never thought to ask. I've always thought I could just ask her anytime. And anytime always gets pushed back to the next time. And as each year goes on, I'm realizing that there might not be a next time. So I finally asked her, and I'm glad we did. I'm glad I finally got to share a kitchen with her. She taught me how she cooks beef pho. She taught me her little tricks when she cooks. Charring the aromatics, roasting the spices, and skimming the scum off to keep the broth clear. But I know once she's gone, her pho goes with her. Even if I try my best to replicate it with her little tricks, it'll never taste the same. In the meantime, I'm gonna soak in every chance I can get with her. And well, that includes taking her camping and cooking for her. So with that, let's go camping.
Well, we're here in the beautiful redwood forest of Northern California. And yesterday we had a wonderful day with my family. My mom finally teach me how to make pho. And luckily, my mom actually joined us here at camping as well. She's not a fan of camping. She's a little iffy about it, but she reluctantly joined. Yeah. My brother's here with his family as well, and I think we're gonna have a great day. Pho normally takes, if you want it to be really good, it normally takes 24 hours, but we're gonna do it in about 2.5. And we do it normally with a Dutch oven right here on a fire with coals, but we're in a fire restriction zone here in California right now, so we have to use a propane stove. Over here, the main things is we have chicken broth, beef broth, fish sauce as seasoning, and then we have this seasoning packet, Vietnamese seasoning packet. It's pretty easy to get these days. And then of course we get to the main pieces right here. So I have oxtail right here. This is gonna give us our most flavor punch of beef, and then chuck roast. Traditionally, it's with brisket, but I'm going with chuck roast because it's actually kind of hard to find brisket in big box grocers in small towns and things like that. You'd be surprised how hard brisket is to find, unless you're in the South and you're in barbecue country. Next, aromatics, we have ginger and shallots, onions, and I have salt, chicken bouillon, and MSG as well. So that's kind of everything we need for the broth. So luckily, I have this bread toaster, and I'm going to use this to blacken the vegetables. And the purpose of blackening the vegetables is to give the broth a very aromatic and deep flavor. We're going to shortcut, right? Because normally this takes a long time. My mom's took 4 hours, and we're doing it in 2.5. So we need to cut a lot of time because we want to go camping and do camping things instead of cooking all the time. Was your mom's technically considered short too? Because you were saying 24 hours. Yeah, so my mom's is actually a short one too, because what she made is is like kind of like an everyday pho. Oh. Whereas if you do a 24-hour pho, that's more of like something that's much more hearty and fatty. Yeah, and very rich. Very rich, and that's more of like a weekend pho. Or like a special occasion pho. Yeah. Yeah. And you can give that a second and then start cleaning that. What do you mean cleaning it? Like take off the peel. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll let that hang. Stella and Kaya. They're going at it. Sorry, we have Kaya and Stella over here. Oh my They're having a wrestle match. Get her. All right, onion. Hold on. Onion. Okay. So that one's going. I'm gonna start the broth. Here we go. We're cutting a lot of time. This costs a little bit more, but I'm going with bone broth because this is just a little bit more like they cook it for a little bit longer than if you just would say a regular broth. And in Hanoi, they do a lot of pho with chicken broth, and it brings a lot of like sweetness to the broth. And so this is something that I've added on to my travels, and I really enjoy it. All right, so that's going, shallot going in. And I'm just gonna put this whole onion in because we are doing this for 2.5 hours. So whole onion goes in. And then cut that up. And then with the ginger, we're just gonna cut this into smaller bits here. So like smaller chunks. You want to extract as much of the ginger as possible. So you have these little chunks like this. So aromatics are in now. The broth is coming up to a boil. And next we're gonna put in the oxtail. And oxtail is gonna give this a good bit of beef flavor to this, and it's gonna add a little bit of fat. And there's a ton of flavor in just the oxtail alone. And I am including oxtail just because it is easier to buy these days at big box grocers. And you can eat the meat after 2.5 or 2 hours. You should be able to eat the meat, and we'll eat that also with our pho. Next, we're moving on to the chuck. And chuck is a good, cheap cut of beef. It's delicious, and normally, like I said, normally it's brisket, but we're gonna cut this thin, just like this. And I'm keeping the fat in. So that's considered thin. This is thin, yeah. Okay, okay. So this is called a roast cut. I'm used to like just like really tightly chopped brisket. So this goes in, and then if you don't mind pouring some water into it for me. Yeah. All right, watch it. Just cover it all the way up, just until the meat is covered, and then we are good. All right, you're good to go. Cool. So we're gonna give that a cover. Let that come up to a boil, and then we'll bring it to a simmer. The seasoning doesn't come until about an hour from now. Okay. Yeah, you don't want this to brew too long. It's like when you have tea that's brewed too long, it gets too bitter. This goes in an hour right before you serve. So there we go. Okay. Oh, hôm nay các con nấu gì vậy? Đang nấu phở giống mẹ á. Hay quá hả? Khoảng 2 tiếng rưỡi mới xong á. Đúng rồi, cái này thì phải hầm lâu mới ngon con ạ. Nấu vậy thì hôm nay mẹ phải ăn thử cái kiểu ăn thử kiểu này. Cái kiểu đi camping bao như thế này xem sao. Chưa bao giờ mẹ đi mà vui như này. Đi camping vui quá. Cảm ơn mẹ, tí nữa mẹ thử á. Tí nữa mẹ phải thử chứ. Chúc là mẹ thử trước nha. Yeah. The biggest testament in all of this, if I could get it's okay. That's like the biggest compliment I could ever get from my mom. So this has been going on for about an hour and a half now, and I've been actively removing scum from it. scum from the bones and the meat that's been cooking. That broth is looking really good, but we need to put in the spices. So this is the last bit for it to make it smell like pho, right? So yeah, usually these bags come with this little tea bag kind of thing. You put the spices in here and you put it in and you can just fish it out whenever you're done.
Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Wow.
Yeah. Let that go. So this is a big bag. We don't need this much, so we're gonna use half this bag and then we use another half for another pho that we're gonna use later on. So the other half we're gonna just Ziploc in and be done with it. And that's half. There we go.
Oh.
Yep, I'm gonna put that away. Just move this about. Whenever the spices start smelling, they're done. You don't need to blacken them, you don't need to brown them. You start smelling them, they're good. Okay. Yeah, you give them a flip every so often. Oh, it's already starting to smell.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, we're gonna turn this off.
All right. Okay, you're gonna let it cool, right?
Let it cool down. So I'm just moving this about, and this is the easiest way for it to. It's gonna continue cooking while it's cooling down, just by aerating it. Yeah. All right. All right, I'm gonna pour it over.
Okay, I'm like, just don't burn me.
There we go. Cool. So what I do is I just tie it like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it kind of just makes sure that it doesn't escape once you're cooking. So this thing goes in, and this is the last bit of cooking that thing needs to do. So half an hour to an hour, and then we'll check it, and it's probably pretty good after that. The garnishes we have are onion, lime, green onion, and cilantro. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. We're feeding about 6 people. I'm using probably just half of this onion. All right, that's it.
Okay, just the half, right?
Yep, just a half.
Nice.
So that goes in there.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna cut these guys. All right, so that's good to go. And the lime's always really important because Vietnamese food's always about balance. And if there's one end of the spectrum in your food, then you always have the other. If there's a salty, there has to be a sweet. Or if there's a sour, there has to be something else, you know? And there's crunchy textures and all these other things. So yeah, Vietnamese food is all about balance. And lime is very, very important to Vietnamese food. I was gonna wait half an hour till like the spices kind of like flavor the broth, and then I season the broth. But since the meat's still in there, she's saying to season the broth right now. So the seasoning soaks into the meat and it's a little bit seasoned. Yeah, so I'm just gonna do that right now because that's what Mom says. I have to be very careful to season because a lot of these things are pre-seasoned. And this is MSG. I'm adding more MSG to my chicken flavored MSG. Let's do fish sauce.
Cho cái đó xong mình nếm đã. Tại vì cái cần mấy cái broth đấy nó cũng có.
There we go.
Was that too much?
Cho thị đường vô.
So, my mom used rock sugar. Rock sugar is pretty hard to find if you don't go to an Asian store, so I'm just going to use regular sugar.
Rock sugar thì nó ngon hơn.
Yeah.
Nó ngọt thanh. Tí thôi.
Sorry. I'm going to put it more after she leaves. And then give this stir.
Thịt mềm rồi đó con, ăn được rồi đó.
She's saying the meat is good, and I agree, the meat is tender now. Okay. So I'm gonna pull it out. I'm gonna stir it, but I'm gonna pull these guys out. So these are soft, and they're good to go.
And we're just cutting that up and putting it in
Yep, I'm gonna let it cool down, and then we're gonna cut it up and put it in bowls.
Okay, cool.
And then go like, my sister-in-law is just dying because she thinks I'm over seasoning.
Really gave it a depth of color, I'll say that. I'm so scared.
There we go. That's it.
That's good. It's nice.
All right, so let's clean this up, and then I will cut this. Let's see.
Cắt vậy thì nó dọc thớ không? Dọc thớ.
Oh, dọc thớ. Yep, this way.
Okay, con cắt về này, xong con nghiêng đó. Cắt ra một miếng xong quay lại cái ký vậy nó dọc thớ ăn nó không ngon.
Oh.
Cắt kiểu này nè. Cắt như vậy nè. Đó, cái thịt nó ngon đó, nó nằm như vậy nó ngon đó.
I guess I'm always learning from Mom.
Đó.
Yeah.
Đó, cắt vậy nó ngon đó. Đúng thôi là.
Woman gotta tell a man how to cook.
Để xuống dưới là lại như vậy nè. Đó, nó mỏng mà nó ngon theo. Nó mỏng mà nó ngon.
I went ahead and I cut the meat and the meat is, you don't want it too well done. You want it just enough. You just give it a pull. And if there's some give, then the meat's done. And then the easiest way to figure it out is either you poke the meat, the cooked meat in the pot with the knife, or with these tongs, and you kind of squeeze it. And if it just feels like it's softer than when you put it in, then it's good. That is boiling now, so let's do this. I'm gonna make my mom a bowl first because I want to see what she thinks of this. I'm really, really jazzed on if she thinks this is gonna be good or not.
Linhbergh, have you ever cooked pho for your mom?
No, I actually rarely ever cook for my mom. I get scared. All right, so let me add some meat in there, and then you could finish it off for me, yeah?
Sure.
And I'll give it back to me, and then I will. There we go. So I have bean sprouts here. We're adding this as a garnish too. Yeah.
We're doing onions?
Just do a little bit of onions.
Just a lot of onions, okay.
Yep. And then do some green onions. And I'm gonna take this off. So the broth is looking really good now. It's a golden color. But the one thing about boxed broths is that they are very cloudy. They don't really, it's made in a giant factory. They don't care about like broth clarity. So when you do simmer it, all the cloudiness goes down. So when you are scooping from the top, it stays very clear. And it is a different color than my mom's because it's, you know, a lot of different factors. Like she made broth from scratch and I didn't. And yeah.
So you don't recommend just like dunking the spoon in and
no,
like
because there's a lot of sediment down low.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Squeeze a little bit of lime. Very important. Thôi.
Oh. Smell good. Ôi, con tôi nó làm cho tôi tô phở ngon quá. Rồi đưa mấy cái đũa để gắp lên thử coi.
Nè.
Ừ, phải ăn thử hả?
Ăn thử đi.
Ăn thử cho nó thấy ha.
I'm scared.
Mắc cỡ quá. Ngon lắm. Ok, ngon quá.
Thiệt hả?
Cũng ngon lắm á. Cái mùi nó cũng có mùi phở. Nhưng mà cái thịt này ngon hơn. Cái này thì nó mềm mại mà nó có vẻ béo béo, nó ngon. Ăn thì ok lắm á. Cái này là đi ra ngoài trời mà nấu vậy là ngon nhất rồi. Good rồi. Thôi,
so
được
she
rồi
says
ha.
good. Cảm ơn mẹ.
Good.
What does she think about having pho out here?
She said, yeah. So she just said,
wild.
this is the best that you could do. Like if you have pho out here,
Yeah.
like pho at this level, then it's
With
great.
camping,
Yeah.
so good.
Camping như vậy là good lắm rồi.
Yeah.
Đi ra ngoài mà nấu được như vậy là quá sức tốt rồi còn gì nữa.
I mean, with that, I can't say anything more than I'm actually speechless. Yeah. So thank you for coming out, and we'll see you next time on trails.
Here, under the redwood forest of Northern California, I cooked with my mom. She gave up her past life to create a new one in a strange new land. A land filled with things she's never heard about. Pizza, tacos, and hamburgers. Here, she learned new things through the eyes of her young sons that were experiencing what it was like to be a first-generation immigrant kid in America. She learned to eat those strange new things. She learned to love pizza. She reluctantly ate hamburgers since we all enjoyed them so much. Tacos, on the other hand, well, 40 years later, she still doesn't like them. But that's okay. There's a strange kind of mysticism with food. It has this wonderful power to connect random strangers in a meaningful way to each other for a brief moment in time. Or it can connect those that are already connected to become even closer. But here, under the canopy of ancient giants, my mom, who has never said I love you and who taught me how to cook without actually teaching me, told me she enjoyed my food. To me, that meant the world. Mẹ, cảm ơn mẹ vì tất cả mẹ đã làm cho con. Thank you, Mom, for everything.